to the leader. It's not clear if the leader is going to agree to meet with him this time, but what is clear is that this trip is sponsored by a U.S. digital currency company that specializes in the marijuana industry, a company that he has been repeatedly pitching numerous times throughout the trip and is even wearing the company t-shirt. He wore it yesterday at the airport in Beijing when CNN spoke to him there. Listen.
Are you here just as a private citizen? Are you here just as a private citizen? Have you spoken to President Trump at all?
Well, I'm pretty sure he's pretty much happy at the fact that I'm over here trying to accomplish something that we both need.
And what are we trying to accomplish, sir?
They're trying to open the door. That's it.
Are you going to talk at all about the detained Americans?
Well, that's not my purpose right now.
So is there some back-channel diplomacy, or is this just a publicity stunt? We don't know the answer to that, Allison, but it certainly should be an interesting few days here in North Korea.
It certainly will be, and we're glad that you are on the ground to bring all of the theater of the absurd to us, Will. Thank you very much. We'll check back. Meanwhile, we have to tell you about this story. 2 Navy SEALs killed earlier this year during secret, high-risk operations overseas. How they died and details about their mission have not been discussed until now. A CNN exclusive next.
IHOP has fresh summer fruits, starting at just $4.99. That's a very good price. Now, weren't you glad you tuned in? I mean, $4.99 is bananas, right? IHOP, eat up every moment.
Wrinkles? Your time's up. New Neutrogena Rapid Wrinkle Repair with the proven power of retinol. Reduces wrinkles in just 1 week. Neutrogena.
Can we at least analyze customer traffic?
Can we push the offer online?
Legacy technology can handcuff any company, but yes is here.
You're saying the new app will go live Monday?
Yeah, with help from HP, we can finally work the way we want to. With the right mix of hybrid IT, everything computes.
Sandals. More quality inclusions than any other resorts on the planet. Save up to 65%. Call 1-800-SANDALS.
It's not just a car, it's your daily treat. The ES and ES Hybrid.
Lease the 2017 ES 350 for $329 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Can you actually love wearing powerful sunscreen? Yes. Neutrogena Ultra Sheer. No other sunscreen works better or feels so good. Clinically proven Helioplex provides unbeatable UVA/UVB protection to help prevent early skin aging and skin cancer. All with a clean, light feel. For unbeatable protection, it's the one. The best for your skin. Ultra Sheer. Neutrogena. See what's possible.
Looking sharp, Len. Who's the lucky lady?
I'm going to the bank to discuss a mortgage.
See, you need a loan, you put on a suit, you go crawling to the bank. This is how I dress to get a mortgage. I just go to Lending Tree. I calculate how much home I can afford. I get multiple offers to compare side by side. And the best part is, the banks come crawling to me.
Everything you need to get a better mortgage. Clothing optional. Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
Okay.
Awkward.
If you need help with home projects, you need to know about Home Advisor. It's a totally free service that matches you with trusted local home pros. You can read verified reviews and book an appointment. Go to homeadvisor.com.
Home Advisor.
We went from 1,500 employees to 150 people working.
Then this is the main industry of Appalachia.
It is.
No jobs leads to depression, which leads to drugs.
I'm concerned about the future.
There is sort of a magic to it. The sunsetter comes out, and then the family comes out.
The kids are loving it. It's nice to get outside and get some fresh air and not be cooped up indoors all the time.
Before we got the sunsetter, we almost never used the patio.
If it was sunny out, we'd be inside.
Because it was just so hot.
It was nuts.
Now that we have the sunsetter, we're spending more time outdoors. And it's adjustable, so it's like a convertible room.
You just press that button, and you get as much shade or as little shade as you want.
It cools the inside of the house, too, so we're saving money with the AC.
And I do my yoga out there. It's really peaceful.
We checked on the quality of the fabrics, the motor
boiler, the warranty?
The installation was easy.
It was like the awning is coming today, and then the awning was up that afternoon.
We're saving money, we're getting outdoors.
It really has changed our lives.
Call Sunsetter now for your free idea kit, including local dealer info. Call now and we'll also send this $200 savings certificate so you can get a Sunsetter for as little as $5.99, but only for a limited time. Call 1-800-305-9487. 1-800-305-9487.
Champions for Change, a week-long CNN special event.
Vice President Mike Pence attending the dignified transfer of 3 U.S. service members at Dover Air Force Base gunned down in an insider attack in Afghanistan. The Pentagon named the 3 soldiers as Sergeant Eric Halp, Sergeant William Bays, and Corporal Dylan Baldridge, all members of the 101st Airborne Division. This comes as we learn new details about the service and the deaths of 2 Navy SEALs who were killed in action earlier this year. And CNN's Barbara Starr has an exclusive report live from the Pentagon. What have you learned, Barbara?
Good morning, Allison. 1 Navy SEAL, his 12-man team against 400 militants, and that is just the beginning.
Navy SEAL Ryan Owens, 36, killed in action in January in Yemen during a nighttime raid targeting al-Qaeda operatives. It's one of the most dangerous missions that Special Operations Forces are called upon to carry out. Navy SEAL Kyle Milliken, 38, also killed, but in Somalia last month, also during a raid while serving as a military advisor to Somali forces. The 2 Navy SEALs spent years on secret missions in dangers few knew anything about. Congressman Scott Taylor, a former Navy SEAL sniper, knew them.
It's a big tragedy that we lost both of those men because they were outstanding heroes for our nation.
CNN has obtained the battlefield citations for both Owens and Milliken, both of whom served for years on high-risk classified combat missions. New details now revealed of their extraordinary service. Owens was posthumously awarded the Silver Star, the nation's 3rd highest medal for valor, in a never-disclosed battle against 400 al-Qaeda militants in 2015. U.S. officials say it all happened deep inside war-torn Somalia. This secret battle raged for 3 days in July 2015. Owens leading a 12-man team alongside African forces, targeting 400 enemy militants, constantly ambushed and attacked with small arms, machine guns, anti-aircraft guns, rocket-propelled grenades, mortars, and improvised explosive devices, according to his citation. Owens repeatedly exposed himself to enemy fire, the citation says, eventually the team securing a town that had been in enemy hands for 10 years. On earlier tours, he helped rescue buddies who were pinned down and wounded and guided in medevac choppers under fire.
From everything I know about him, he's a great guy, highly committed, highly talented.
From Somalia to Yemen, Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, it's largely fallen on Special Operations Forces to wage battle against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and their affiliates, and they are increasingly paying with their lives. 5 killed in action in 2017, 22 since June 2014, when the war against ISIS began. Taylor, like so many who have served on the front lines, rejects the controversial Pentagon view that when troops are military advisors, they must stay out of the direct line of fire.
There's no boots on the ground, they're just advisors. Well, we know that's BS. Of course, they're all boots on the ground.
On Milliken's final mission, he was an advisor to Somali forces, alongside them in the line of fire.
You certainly can't fault the operator for wanting to get into the fight. They're there. They're there on the ground with the force that they're helping.
Scott Taylor recalls his own first mission in Iraq, which was alongside Milliken.
Everyone loved Kyle. Everyone loved him.
Milliken also had years of combat. In 2007 alone, 48 combat missions in Iraq. On one mission, he helped evacuate 3 wounded SEALs under fire. There is one clue on how secret their work was. In 2015, Milliken was awarded the Navy Achievement Medal for developing groundbreaking procedures for future national mission taskings. In the world of special operations, national missions are the most classified, requiring presidential approval and remaining secret for decades.
And in a final testament to their service after both men were killed, the Pentagon quietly did acknowledge that both had served with SEAL Team 6, of course, the secretive unit that killed Osama bin Laden. Allison, Chris?
And Barbara, obviously, our hearts go out to their families who also serve alongside them. And as Barbara often makes the point, it doesn't matter how you term the involvement. Putting America's fighting men and women on the ground in war theater is going to result in casualties and death. Their sacrifice has to be remembered and reported. Thank you to Barbara Starr for that. All right, so big news out of the sports world. We have a new world champion, the Warriors, for the second time in 3 years. The Bleacher Report has all the details. Is this the dynasty of the current era?
2/3 of our planet is covered in it. So why do nearly 800 million people suffer from lack of clean water around the world? That's completely unacceptable to me, and that is why I'm working on a way to solve this global problem. Like here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. By taking the polluted water we already have and providing technologies to filter it back into clean water. My name is Manny, Senior VP of Technology. We are Coke.
Men's Warehouse helps you celebrate the special men in your life with gifts like dress shirts, 3 for $99, shorts and t-shirts all 50% off, plus buy one get one free on more. Men's Warehouse.
When you connect better, everything comes together. Try it free at gotomeeting.com.
Award-winning interface. Award-winning design. Award-winning engine. The Volvo XC90. The most awarded luxury SUV of the century. Visit your Volvo dealer to take advantage of our midsummer sales event offer.
Hi. I'm the one clocking in when you're clocking out, sensing your every move and automatically adjusting to help you stay effortlessly comfortable. There. I can even warm these to help you fall asleep faster. Does your bed do that? Oh, I don't actually talk, though I'm smart enough to. I'm the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
I'm always training with a purpose. I train a lot and I sweat. I sweat so much.
I'm totally competing, sometimes against the heat.
If it's your passion, you never want to let the heat slow you down. You need something that can cool you instantly and keep you cool for hours. For these world champions, it's the new Max Cooling Towel from Mission.
This Mission Cooling Towel, it instantly cools you down.
Just soak, wring, and snap to activate. Mission's new hydroactive Max cooling technology cools as low as 60 degrees, plus provides up to 30% greater cooling power. Machine washable and chemical-free technology. Whether you're playing hard or working harder, don't let the heat beat you.
There is no other cooling towel like Mission.
Shop Mission.com now and get free shipping.
The Mission Max Cooling Towel, it's a game changer.
That Digo's not going to steal my phone, is it?
Finding the best hotel price is now a safe bet because TripAdvisor searches over 200 booking sites so you save up to 30% on the hotel you want. Lock it in. TripAdvisor.
Now, the line says the Warriors steal the crown from King James and the Cavs, but they didn't steal a damn thing. They trounced the Cleveland Cavaliers to win their second title in 3 years. What do you say, Coy Wire? You're good looking. Do you think this is the new dynasty of the current era?
They're looking tough, and they're all in their 20s, are the Warriors, Chris. So this could be the case. They blew that 3-1 series lead to the Cavs last year in the finals, so they've been on a mission ever since. They only lost one game in these playoffs, looking incredible. The Warriors picked up Kevin Durant in the offseason to bolster their squad. Some say that the Warriors needed him, but I'm not so sure that they could have won it without him the way they did. He's the first player since Shaquille O'Neal back in 2000 to post 5 straight 30-point games in an NBA final. Durant was the unanimous choice as finals MVP. Then LeBron James showing him some love and respect. And, you know, all this time, Durant on a mission to get his first ever title. His mother has been there with him the entire time. Here's Durant after the game talking about the win and his mom.
I just wanted to lay it all out there. You know, I put in work. I just had to trust in it. You know, we were really good tonight. You got to tip your hat to Cleveland, man. We did it. I told you when I was 8 years old, we did it. Yeah.
In the locker room after, a reported 150 bottles of champagne costing $1,200 each. That's about 180 grand, I do believe. What a celebration. The fans will get to celebrate with the Warriors as well. The parade already planned for Thursday in Oakland. Allison?
I drink champagne with goggles on also, just in case.
You cracked me up.
Thanks, you too, Clay. Thanks so much. Great to see you. So, Robert Mueller's appointment last month drew praise from both sides of the aisle, but now Republicans are changing their tune. We discuss next.
Bleacher Report Update is brought to you by TISA, official timekeeper of the NBA.
Your relentless pursuit of perfection, your countless hours of preparation, all comes down to this moment when the clock is ticking down and it's all on the line. Tissot, this is your time.
When you schedule with Safe by Autoglass, you get a text when we're on our way. You can see exactly when we'll arrive. I'm Michael with Safe Flight.
Thanks for coming. It's right over here.
Giving you a few more minutes for what matters most. Take care.
Safe Flight Repair. Safe Flight Replace.
Hi, I'm the one clocking in when you're clocking out, sensing your every move and automatically adjusting to help you stay effortlessly comfortable. There, I can even warm these to help you fall asleep faster. Does your bed do that? Oh, I don't actually talk, though I'm smart enough to. I'm the new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. Let's meet at a Sleep Number store.
What made Secretariat the greatest racehorse who ever lived? Of course he was strong, intelligent, explosive. But the true secret to his perfection?
Ourselves. Celebrate ourselves. Because it can hide in your body for years without symptoms. It's not.
We're so dirty. Purposely incorrect stories and phony sources to meet their agenda of hate. Sad. I hope he's not talking about his media friend Chris Ruddy, who is driving the news cycle by saying the president is considering something preposterous, getting rid of the special counsel. He's also tweeting, as I said, about the Ninth Circuit, the travel ban. The Ninth Circuit once again held this travel ban in abeyance, saying it can't go into effect yet. He says what you're seeing it right there. As predicted, Ninth Circuit did it again, ruled against travel ban, such a dangerous time in the history of our country, S.C. I'm assuming that means Supreme Court, usually abbreviated SCOTUS, but, you know, Twitter is shorter. Could mean special counsel is a code. Let's discuss. Chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp, and Tim O'Brien, executive editor of Bloomberg View and author of Trump Nation, The Art of Being the Donald. Brother Schlapp, do you believe the president should seriously consider getting rid of Bob Mueller, a man who was lionized by Republicans just a couple of weeks ago, now being somewhat savaged?
No, not at all. Not with what I know. He's simply putting his team together. He's looking over the information that Jim Comey has given him, and we ought to let him do his job. And besides that, I think Rod Rosenstein, the number 2 at Trump's DOJ, has said, unlike Peter Fitzgerald, a previous special counsel who was also a U.S. attorney, Bob Mueller is not a U.S. attorney, is picked as a special counsel, and is in a little bit of a protected class for that reason.
Good. All right. Other headline that we're seeing this morning. Tim, you've been talking about this a little bit, but now you have some new fodder. You have the tapes. You have a take on why Trump is playing with us about whether or not he has tapes of tape conversations. I want to hear about that. But you see the travel ban tweet as code as well. What is he expressing in that travel ban?
I think it's his lack of either understanding or respect for checks and balances, and it's in keeping with a long tradition with Trump of taking pot shots at the judiciary and law enforcement officials. And I think he's got a powerful perch, but he's yet to show that he understands he should use it in a more judicious way.
You've been involved in litigation with him in the past. The threat/suggestion of tapes of the conversations came up in that litigation as a way of pushing you back a little bit. What happened there?
I was a reporter at the New York Times at the time. I was reporting on him there. I then wrote a book about him. He sued me for the book. He sued me for libel for Trump Nation. And during the course of the reporting, for probably well over a year, we were in regular contact, and sometimes during telephone conversations, he'd finish off the conversation by saying, "You don't mind if I'm taping this, do you?" And I would say, no, that's fine. Or I'd be in his office, and he'd say, "You don't mind if I turn on my taping system, do you?" I'd say no, on and on. So then when the litigation rolled around, we wanted access to his tapes because we thought that the tapes would reflect well on our side of the conversation. So he was asked under a deposition, "Have you taped Mr. O'Brien?" And he said, "No, I haven't. Actually, I don't have a taping system." And my lawyer said, "Well, then why did you say this to him?" And he basically said, "I wanted to intimidate him. I thought it would make him nervous." And I think that's exactly what's going on with Jim Comey. I don't think Trump has tapes. I think he's probably unnerved by the fact that Comey kept a record of their conversations, and he wants to put this red herring out there that he has tapes, which I don't think exist.
Matt Schlapp, what do you make of this tactic of not answering the question about whether or not tapes exist? There's somewhat of an imposed deadline for this Friday, but what do you make of this?
I don't know. I guess, Chris, there's so much happening with Jeff Sessions testifying and everything else. I think we should talk about tapes if he ever shows any tapes. Everyone I talked to who were, people I worked with in the White House or others tell me the chances of any tapes, they just can't imagine that there are any tapes. I do think Donald Trump has had to forego so much leaking from the executive branch in an unprecedented way that I think everyone's a little spooked on when something is taped, when there's a deposition. Even people who have been doing this a long time wonder with all the new. He talked about the grandfather's clock. He talked about trying to slip out that door by the grandfather clock. It's like, there's so many problems with Jim Comey. I can see why it's unnerving for the White House.
A law enforcement official making a record of a conversation isn't a tactic. It's good law enforcement.
Well, then why did he say it was the only time he's ever done it when it was also in the book The Angler, where his one-on-one account with George W. Bush was written about. Now that, Matt, to me, is a problem.
All right, let's. That's your opinion. It's fine for you to have it.
No, it's a book. It's not my opinion.
I'm saying, based on what you read in the book, this is your opinion about whether or not he was being truthful about saying he's never done this before. What I'm saying is
maybe he forgot.
Why is that the answer to the question that I asked, which is, what do you make of the tactic of pretending that there are tapes and stringing it out for over a week when you are the White House and the President of the United States? Do you bless that tactic?
What I bless and don't bless doesn't matter.
It does. You're on my show, and I'm asking your opinion as someone who's relevant.
Okay, Chris, if there are no tapes to talk about the potential presence of tapes, as I said to Allison yesterday, it doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a failed tactic. But that being said, I don't know until he says definitively, yes, there are, or no, there aren't. He says he's going to tell us next week. And until that happens, all I can tell you is the people I to zero. And I don't blame them.
Listen, I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying, you have to police tactics, because what happens when it's about whether or not he's going to tell people if they're getting tax relief in a certain class, and he says, I'll tell you next week. So you want to police these tactics. But Matt Schlapp, you matter, my brother. That's why I have you on the show.
Thanks,
Your
Chris.
opinion matters. Timothy Bryan, value added as always. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Hey, and thanks to you, our international viewers. Thank you for watching us. For you, CNN Newsroom is next. For our U.S. viewers, the president is tweeting. He is making news. And guess what? We're going to get after it.
You have to start asking, what is the president so desperate to hide from the American people?
He's considering perhaps terminating the special counsel. He's weighing that option.
What the hell are we investigating? This seems more like an effort to prosecute Donald Trump.
We're not going to let the president choose who conducts this investigation.
Attorney General Sessions has an explanation he needs to give.
Do you believe that he should invoke executive privilege? It depends on the scope of the question.
I think it's important to establish why he was involved in the dismissal of Director Comey, since he had recused himself.
The whole thing's sour grapes. Did Sessions meet with the Russian ambassador ever? We shouldn't get carried away with things.
This is New Day with Chris Bowman and Allison Camerata.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your new day. The special counsel in the Russia investigation is under fire. A longtime friend of President Trump says the president is considering firing Robert Mueller. The White House denies that the president ever discussed this issue with his.
Right, in just a few hours, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to face tough questions at a Senate hearing, mainly about his contacts with Russia and his involvement in the firing of James Comey. What did the Attorney General know about what the president's intentions were, about the conversation with Comey? Will he answer those questions? We have it all covered. Let's begin with CNN's Ryan Nobles live on Capitol Hill. Ryan.
Chris, good morning. And Attorney General Jeff Sessions expected to be grilled today by members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. But just how forthcoming the Attorney General will be remains to be seen. And his testimony comes at a time where President Trump and his associates appear to be interfering with the work of the special counsel, Bob Mueller.
I think he's considering perhaps terminating the special counsel.
Just hours after leaving the White House, President Trump's longtime friend, Newsmax CEO Christopher Ruddy, claims the president is considering firing special counsel Robert Mueller, the man in charge of investigating possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
I think he's weighing that option. I think it's pretty clear by what one of his lawyers said on television recently. I personally think it would be a very significant mistake.
White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer insisting Mr. Ruddy never spoke to the president regarding this issue. But hours earlier, Spicer's deputy said that Ruddy, quote, speaks for himself. Several Trump allies now attacking Mueller's credibility despite initially praising his appointment. Former Trump campaign advisor Newt Gingrich tweeting Monday, Republicans are delusional if they think the special counsel is going to be fair. But only last month, Gingrich praised Mueller as a, quote, superb choice. One of the reasons for the revolt, who Mueller has hired for his legal team. CNN analysis of FEC records reveals 3 of the 5 lawyers on Mueller's team have donated almost exclusively to Democrats, with 2 giving the maximum donation to Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. Still, White House sources tell CNN Trump's advisors are urging him not to fire Mueller, a move lawmakers feel could backfire.
It would be absolutely astonishing were he to entertain this. The echoes of Watergate are getting louder and louder.
All this comes ahead of today's public testimony by embattled Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Sessions is expected to face a grilling about his contacts with Russia and the firing of James Comey.
He was very close to and inevitably going to recuse himself for a variety of reasons. We also were aware of facts that I can't discuss in an open setting that would make his continued engagement in a Russia-related investigation problematic.
Sources tell CNN Comey told senators behind closed doors that Sessions may have had a third meeting with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, which the Justice Department denies. It will likely be brought up today, along with Comey's account that Sessions was booted from an Oval Office meeting back in February before Comey said the president asked him to drop the Michael Flynn investigation.
My sense was the Attorney General knew he shouldn't be leaving, which is why he was lingering.
It's unclear whether Sessions will invoke executive privilege to avoid answering questions.
Do you believe that he should invoke executive privilege on conversations between himself and the president as it relates to Jim Comey? I think it depends on the scope of the questions.
And the idea that President Trump may attempt to fire the special counsel Robert Mueller is being roundly condemned by both Republicans and Democrats, and among them the House Speaker Paul Ryan. Appearing this morning on Hugh Hewitt's radio show, Ryan told the guest host Guy Benson, quote, "I think we should let Bob Mueller do his work." Chris and Allison.
Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. Let's discuss this with our panel. We want to bring in Chris Cillizza, reporter and editor-at-large for CNN Politics, A.B. Stoddard, associate editor and columnist at Real Clear Politics, and CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Jeffrey Toobin. Chris Cillizza, the possibility that Robert Mueller could be fired. Look, obviously you hear people saying that would be a very bad idea, but had they known that James Comey was going to be fired, they would have said that before then. Yeah. Also, what are you hearing?
Well, look, anyone that you would talk to, and I've talked to about this, will say it's a terrible idea, it would be politically disastrous, but that doesn't mean you can rule Donald Trump out from doing it. My read on the Chris Ruddy thing is the timeline seems pretty clear. He goes to the White House. We now know he does not meet with the president. He then comes out, gives an interview to PBS in which he says, they're thinking about doing this. I think it would be a really bad idea, which seems to me someone probably at the staff level he meets with at the White House says this is in the mix. This is a possibility. Ruddy thinks it's a really bad idea and knows that the best way to communicate that it's a bad idea to his friend, the President of the United States, is to say something on television immediately. Now, all of that said, doesn't rule out the possibility Donald Trump still does it. Remember the times when Ivanka Trump has his ear. She knows she'll steer him. He'll do what she says. Well, not in the Paris Climate Accord. Steve Bannon has his ear. Reince Priebus has his ear. Kellyanne Conway has his ear. Everybody theoretically has his ear until he does what he wants to do anyway. So I think Donald Trump is sort of an island unto himself, even within his White House. And that's what makes predicting what he will do virtually impossible.
AB, what's your read on this? I mean, I was joking in the last hour, with friends like this, who needs enemas? If Chris Ruddy's supposed to be his buddy and goes out and puts him in this kind of box, it's not a good act of friendship there. But do you believe there's any substance to the suggestion that the president might make a move on Mueller?
Well, I think Chris Cillizza's right that Ruddy might have been trying to telegraph that it would be a mistake. But I think that when we look at the Gingrich comments and, sort of some other criticism of Mueller, it's not entirely out of the realm of the possible that would be something that Trump would consider, that he wants us to end, and he acts on impulse. So it's not entirely impossible to imagine a scenario in which he does it.
Wouldn't he have to get an agreement from Ryan and probably McConnell to block any move by Congress afterwards?
Jeffrey? Well, as I understand it, he actually has to have Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein.
I know, but I'm saying I'm jumping ahead. So he can't fire him directly. It's got to be Rosenstein. He goes to Rosenstein and says, you do what I say. Rosenstein folds. I'm saying this is what would have to happen. And he gets rid of him, but then Congress could make a move. So he'd have to know in advance, Toobin, that Ryan and McConnell will protect me. But they won't do anything.
But I think they will protect him because the Republicans who control Congress, basically are very supportive of Trump, and you'd need 2/3 of the House and Senate veto-proof, and you're not going to get that for an anti-Trump initiative of any kind. But I mean, I do think when we talk about the possibility of firing, it's not as simple as just you're fired, like on The Apprentice. He would have to get a Justice Department official, presumably Rod Rosenstein. Rod Rosenstein might refuse and quit. And then he would have to go down to Rachel Brand, who is the Associate Attorney General, and then she might quit. That would be exactly what happened in the Saturday Night Massacre in 1973 when they eventually did fire Archibald Cox. So, the political cost is even greater because he would have to involve other people.
Okay, so Chris Cillizza, let's talk about what we definitely know is happening this afternoon, and that is that Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to testify in open session in front of Senate Intel. What do we think he is going to say?
I'm going to downplay expectations and say not all that much. So here are the things we know will be asked, and he has to come up with some sort of answer. Certainly, he has to talk about the rumored third meeting. We don't know whether it happened. James Comey said in private session with the senators following his testimony, he may have met a third time with Sergei Kislyak. Now, remember, Sessions did not disclose the first two meetings with Kislyak during his confirmation hearing. So I think that. Then the Comey interaction. So the first one being the February 14th meeting in which Sessions, as well as everybody else, is asked to leave the room so Trump can have a one-on-one with Comey. Comey says Sessions lingered, knew he shouldn't do it. Then the other one is when Comey asks Sessions, you need to stop the president from calling me and asking me these direct questions. To Comey's recollection, Sessions says nothing and sort of shrugs his shoulders like, what can I do? It's this guy. My guess is Sessions will have a different recollection of that. And remember, these will be under oath James Comey recollection, and I presume what will be a counter-narrative under oath Jeff Sessions recollection that will run directly into one another.
Right, and we are expecting, Jeffrey, that the Attorney General will say, my meeting with Comey didn't go that way. I didn't sit there impassively when he said this, and then that's not what he said to me. So you'll have that he said. But he's in a box on the what did you know questions when it comes to Trump. Because if he says, well, yeah, I knew he was going to move on Comey. If he says anything like that, he's got one set of issues to deal with. But what about if he says, I didn't know? I didn't get any of it. So afterwards, this meeting with Comey, when the president told you to leave, you didn't ask any questions? After that? No, I didn't. I never asked. And when Comey came to you and said he didn't want to be alone with him anymore, you didn't ask him why? No, I didn't ask him why. Those answers hurt also.
They do potentially if he gives any of those answers. My understanding is that he will not answer any questions about his interactions with the president.
What's his basis?
Well, that's the interesting question of what he will say. We talk about him citing executive privilege. He doesn't have an executive privilege. Donald Trump has an executive privilege. And so if he says, I cite executive privilege, the senators will be very much within their rights in saying, did the president instruct you
and if he
to
says
do that?
No.
And if he says no, he has no legal basis.
And if he still won't answer, then what can they do?
Nothing. I mean, that's the problem.
Can they cite him for contempt?
Well, they could eventually, but I mean, in fact, he is in control of what he says tomorrow, and the Senate has very few options in a practical sense to make him talk. I mean, yes, they could cite him for contempt and they could have litigation for months, but I mean, in terms of what we learned today, it's really going to be very much up to Sessions.
AB, we need to talk about this amazing cabinet meeting that the president held for the first time, his full cabinet meeting around the table, and they each went individually and engaged in a sycophantic palooza that we will now show you and the viewers.
Thank you, Mr. President, and just the greatest privilege of my life is to serve as Vice President to a president who's keeping his word to the American people.
Mr. President, my privilege to be here.